Hey guys, it's Tiffany and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I talk about a whole bunch of houseplant stuff. Oh boy. And welcome back to my YouTube channel where I talk about a whole bunch of things that are related to houseplants. If you haven't already, take a second, go down to that subscribe button and click it for me because I would really love to see you back here, and I really enjoy making content for you guys. So please take a second, subscribe, and like this video if you end up liking it. Today I kind of wanted to address a couple things that I personally would have liked to know before I got houseplants. So, first thing being that it's going to cost you some money. It's going to cost some money. And what I mean by that is, okay, you went out and you bought a couple houseplants. Let's be real, not a couple, but you bought quite a few. And now you've got them home and they're outgrowing all their pots. Okay, now you gotta go out and buy pots. But what do you put in those pots? Alright, now you gotta go out and buy soil. Okay, now I need something to water them with. Now, if you're me, I started out with just like a pitcher type thing. So it was okay for the first little bit, and then I got a lot of houseplants, so you needed something else. But you see where I'm talking, it keeps adding up. And then when we get into this list a little further, you'll see where the numbers keep racking up. So just know that there's a lot of supplies that goes into it before you decide to buy a houseplant yourself. Number 2 is going to be watering. So what you'll notice about your houseplants, at least I think you'll notice, I noticed it with mine pretty quickly, is no, not all plants need to be watered the same. Okay, so when you get things like a ZZ plant like I have behind me, or you get something like a calathea or a peperomia, you get all these different types of plants, they don't have the same watering needs. Do not water them the same. I made that mistake and I watered my ZZ one time too early, and it got root rot, and it's still currently, let's see if I can get this in here. It's still currently yellowing. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's still yellowing. It's still having some issues, but we've got some new guys coming out, so I think we're okay. But one time. It takes one time. Okay? So, know the watering needs of your plants. They are not all going to be on the same schedule. Sometimes watering one day a week will work for some people, and then for other people you have to actually go around and check them every now and then because they're all inconsistent. So just know that watering is not the same for everybody. Number 3, your soil is important. Don't just go buy Miracle-Gro indoor potting mix from Lowe's like I did. Got a bag of Miracle-Gro, thought it would be fine because, hey, it was indoor potting mix. It should be fine, right? Wrong. Okay? Surprisingly enough, although your plants do need water, they also need to get air down to their roots. So if you are getting these thick potting mixes that are going to be kind of sludgy when you put water in them, no air is going to get down to your roots. It's most likely going to induce root rot, and that's just not good. Your roots need air, so make sure that you are giving them air. Put some chunky stuff in your soil. Yes, you can use that Miracle-Gro mix, but use it as a base. Add on to it. Add some perlite. Add some orchid bark. The new thing that I'm trying to add is some horticultural charcoal. I'll let you know how that goes, but trying it out. Why not? But yeah, your soil is important. Please know what kind of plant you have and what kind of soil it needs. Cacti and succulent, get it some cacti and succulent mix. Everybody else pretty much needs a good airy aeroid mix. Okay? Chunky, fun stuff. Okay guys, next is going to be the supplies that you need. So understand that getting a houseplant is not as simple as just going to the store and picking up a plant and saying, okay, this is it. You've got to have some stuff to do. Or, you got to have some stuff to take care of it. I'll do a, like, my favorite things type video at some point, once I actually nail down some things that I really, really, really like. And I have a few, but I'm tweaking some other ones. But you have to have supplies. Your soil, your additions to your soil, your remedies and your mix-ins and stuff like that. You've got to have all that. Something to water your plants with. I use a moisture meter to make sure that I'm not over or underwatering my plants. So You're going to need to have pots, because guess what? Plants do continue to grow, and you're going to need bigger ones, so you're going to need pots. You're going to need all these different things, and these are things that you just don't think of. That's why houseplants can sometimes cost a little bit of money, especially up front. So make sure that you have all the supplies that are going to be necessary for your plant, because don't let it catch you off guard. The biggest advice I can give, and I'll give it later too, is pest control supplies. So make sure you have some of that stuff on your hand as well. I guess with that one, let's go ahead and straight into bugs. Unfortunately, even though they are houseplants, you will get bugs. You will. You will. I thought I was impervious to it. I really did. I was like, oh, I've gone 2 months without seeing a bug, and then boom, everywhere. Not everywhere, but it happens, guys. It happens to everybody. So the first one that I'm talking about is fungus gnats. Oh my god. So fungus gnats, these little tiny things that like to fly. They're basically gnats. You know, like fruit fly type things? That's basically what they are, except for they live in your soil. Okay, so you're going to have bugs. And the best way to know how to deal with bugs is research your bugs. Know how to identify them, because I'll tell you what, I had spider mites and didn't even know I had them. I thought it was just a spider. I was like, oh, there's a spider in my plant. That's not cool. But I left it alone. Big mistake. Okay, so research your types of pests that could be on your houseplant so that you know how to identify them and how to deal with them. So that goes with the supplies thing, is you're going to need some kind of bug spray, neem oil, anything. Even something simple as just like lemon juice and water. Have something on hand to help you deal with these pests. Because spider mites in particular, I didn't have anything on hand, ordered something on Amazon, shipping got delayed, my store was out of it because everything's out of everything in the middle of all of this, and it got bad. So, and I didn't have any way to deal with it, because who can find rubbing alcohol right now? If you can, send me some. All that said, make sure you have some stuff on hand before you get an outbreak. You'll thank me. Next we have the biggest one, and this is you need to do this. Do your research. You want to have houseplants, you want to control some living thing, you need to do your research. You need to do your research. What do these plants need? If they need highlight, and guess what? You live in an apartment like I do, where you got 3 windows and they're all on one side and they're northwest facing, and you really don't get that much light until around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then it's not the best. You shouldn't be getting highlight plants unless you are willing to buy grow lights. Now I will tell you, I was not willing to buy grow lights for the longest time, but I didn't do my research and I bought all these dracaenas, these highlight plants. And they don't do well on the light. They just don't. So I had to buy these grow lights, and I spent a lot of money on grow lights. I have like 5 sets of grow lights to deal with my houseplants and make sure that they're happy, which isn't fair because honestly grow lights aren't the best. But basically what I'm trying to say is do your research, understand what your plants need, and don't bring them into an environment that you're not willing to help them thrive in. Okay, so my battery died. I'm going to try and pick up where I left off, although I don't exactly know where it cut off. So, as far as doing your research goes, because I think I was still in that one, just make sure you are buying houseplants that fit your environment. Don't bring them into an environment that they're not going to thrive in. So unless you're willing to make accommodations for those houseplants, don't get them. Do your research, know what your houseplants want and need, and make sure you either have it or maybe that's not the plant for you. So this one is kind of a twofer. So what I mean by that is, the first thing is make sure you're buying from a reputable source. Okay, so, and even within those reputable sources, price sometimes matters, okay? So if you saw my, I think, second video on here, I did a online houseplant haul review type thing, and I got a whole bunch of really cheap houseplants from a certain online seller that is a rather large company. But they arrived with slugs in the soil and things like that, and you know, sometimes that's what happens when you get plants at a cheaper rate. If you're on a website and you keep seeing these like reviews of people like, oh well, half of them showed up good, half of them showed up pretty bad and stuff like that, you gotta think about which one of those plants is probably supposed to be a little bit higher of a price and isn't. because it's probably not healthy, okay? So sometimes the healthier, better plants come with a higher price tag, and I've learned to be okay with that. I've bought a lot of the more rare plants, and I've made some mistakes and gotten some rehab plants, and I've made some really good choices and gotten some pretty healthy guys. So it's all depending on your willingness to take care of them. So biggest one that I have and that you guys have seen is this Pilea peperomioides. So first of all, look at that. It's thrived. It has. And I'm actually kind of worried about it. I repotted it yesterday and it was in terracotta and now it's not. And the roots were really entwined like in the terracotta pot, so I ripped a lot of them out. Which is probably what's happening up here. I hope she does okay. But anyway, I got this guy and it had a whole bunch of stuff in the soil. It wasn't doing well, and I had to put in the extra effort to make sure it was doing well. So if you want a healthy plant, sometimes they come with the higher price tag. Not always, but sometimes that has to happen. Okay, so this is one that took me forever to learn, and it is okay to say no. It's okay to say no to things. It's okay to walk into a Lowe's and not walk out with a houseplant because, oh, I don't have that one. I did that a lot when I first started, and to be honest, a lot of those plants just don't bring me joy anymore. So it's okay to say no, because in the long run, it could end up saving you some money. So my advice is go into that Lowe's, and if you see a whole bunch of plants, like one of the Dracaenas I bought, there were a whole bunch of them. And I was like, ooh, I like this. I don't have it. Brought it home. 2 months later, I didn't really like it anymore. But here we are. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if there's a lot of them, maybe don't get it right then and there. Go home, sleep on it, and if it's something you just can't live without, go back and get it. Especially if there's a lot of them. If there's one, probably grab it, and if you don't like it, then sell it off later. But it's okay to say no to some of these houseplants. You don't have to have them all. Alright, here's one that I'm facing now. Like, literally currently I'm facing it, and next Friday I'm leaving for vacation. So guess what? If you're used to taking vacations whenever you want, now you have to really prep for it. Really prep for it. Okay, I don't really have somebody who's going to come over and take care of my 94 houseplants. And I'm leaving for 8 days. I'm a little worried, but guess what? You know, it comes with some prep. I'll do a complete prep video on it for you guys so you guys can see what I'm doing, but vacation sometimes is going to take some extra work and some extra risk now. So I used to go on vacations whenever I felt like it. I really did, and now I booked one, and it's coming up in a week and a half, and I am stressing because I have all these houseplants. I have a lot of money invested in these houseplants, and I really hope that they survive through the time that I am gone. And it's stressful, but you just got to do your prep. You've got to do your research into prepping. Houseplants are a lot of research if you haven't noticed. So if you thought you were going on vacations all the time, sometimes your houseplants can't handle it, sometimes you might have a casualty. You never know. And I will let you guys know how mine fare in it, but just know sometimes vacations can't happen. Alrighty guys, and the last thing I wish I knew before I got houseplants is simply do it your way. You're going to see all these videos on YouTube of, oh, how I water my houseplants, how I do this and how I do that. You don't have to copy anyone. Make it your own thing. Houseplants are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be something that, for me, personally gives me a peace of mind. It keeps me occupied. Gives me something healthy to do other than sitting on my butt and watching Netflix. Okay? So it's supposed to be something that you enjoy doing. Once it becomes a chore, a hassle, sometimes it does, but it's not something that's meant to be that way. So do it your way. So my favorite YouTubers sometimes do things a lot differently than I do, and you know, I've tried their ways and I just didn't like it. Okay? And I felt kind of weird. I was just like, oh, well, shout out to my girl Harley G. Harley G does it this way. Where she does like separations of her rooms and she waters in certain days. Well, I tried that, and then I would come back to my own different room a different day and I'd have a houseplant that was killed over half dead. So I have to do it a certain way, and I had to be okay with just doing it on my own. Taking everything you see on YouTube with a grain of salt, and that should be said for everything. Take it with a grain of salt, okay? But you gotta make it your own. You gotta make it fun for you. You've gotta enjoy doing what you're doing. So some people will say like, oh, well, I've got my houseplants on a schedule. Me, I don't have my houseplants on a schedule. I water them when they need water, because guess what? They're living beings, and if they need water, give them water. That's my personal, like, philosophy of doing the whole watering thing, but make it your own. Make it something that you enjoy. Enjoy your houseplants. They're supposed to be tranquil. They're supposed to be something nice for you to enjoy throughout the day. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it, and I would really love if you went down to that bottom part and you hit that like, that subscribe, and I am actually starting to link my Instagram. It's new down below, so I will have that in there for you, but go follow me on Instagram too. I do a lot of post updates and things like that. You'll get to see how some of the plant babies are doing, and thank you so much, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!